Today is the 12th day of the month of Cheshvan. We are in the middle of chapter 10 discussing the laws of Tefillin. Today we will be finishing the chapter going from paragraph 20 through paragraph 26. Paragraph 20. We're not supposed to have on the head Tefillin without first having on the hand Tefillin. And therefore when putting on our Tefillin, we put on the hand Tefillin first, followed by the head Tefillin. When taking it off, we do the opposite. So what's the procedure of taking off the Tefillin? We first unwrap the wraps around our finger. Then, using our weaker hand, we take off the head Tefillin. The reason why we use the weaker hand is because we're showing a little hesitancy in taking off our Tefillin. After taking off our head Tefillin, we then unwrap the wraps from our arms, and we take off the hand Tefillin. There's a beautiful custom that when we take the Tefillin out of the bag to put them on, we give them a kiss, and when we take them off before putting them back into the bag, then we give them a kiss as well. Paragraph 21. When putting the Tefillin into the bag, we want to make sure that we're going to encounter, when taking them out tomorrow, the hand Tefillin first. So you should always have a set way that the hand Tefillin go on one side and the head Tefillin go on the other side. Some people will specifically put the hand Tefillin on the left side, assuming you're a righty, because when you put your hand in, it usually goes in an angle. You put in your right hand, take it out, it will generally encounter the far left corner of the bag first. So the hand Tefillin, which go on first, people will often put on the left side. The head Tefillin will then go on the right side. This isn't required, that's just a common way to do it. The main thing is to do the same thing every day so that when you put on your Tefillin, you know which side has the hand Tefillin on it because you want to take that one out first. In addition, like we mentioned back in paragraph 2 of chapter 10, if you have your Tefillin and your talus in the same bag, make sure that the Tefillin are deeper into the bag and the talus closer to the front because the talus we put on before the Tefillin. Paragraph 22. Let's say you get to shul in the morning, you realize you don't have your Tefillin with you. So we have two options. Option A is to pray without Tefillin on, and then when the services are over, borrow somebody else's Tefillin to put on for a few minutes. Or option B, don't pray with everybody else, miss davening with a minyan, and later on borrow somebody's Tefillin and use them to pray with. What is more important, praying with a minyan or praying while wearing Tefillin? The Cheshvan says that praying while wearing Tefillin is more important. So it's best to wait until everybody else finishes praying, then you borrow somebody's Tefillin, and then you put them on, and you pray with the Tefillin on. Now, we have to say Shema by the third halachic hour of the day, and we're supposed to say the Shemona Esrei prayer by the fourth halachic hour of the day. So if there's a concern that we're going to miss that time period, that time frame, then it's better to pray without Tefillin and put on Tefillin after you finish praying. You could either put them on immediately following services in the morning by borrowing somebody else's pair. You could put them on during the afternoon services, during a mincha. But if you haven't had a chance to put them on until the nighttime, then we don't put on Tefillin at night, so you lost your chance for that day. Paragraph 23. When one is wearing Tefillin, they have to have what's called in Hebrew a guf naki, a clean body. One is not allowed to pass gas while wearing Tefillin, as mentioned earlier. If somebody is having stomach issues, then they shouldn't be putting on Tefillin unless they're certain that they could have it on for enough time to say Shema and Shemona Esrei, the Amidah, the silent part of davening where we're praying directly to God. But if they can't even be sure that they won't have to run to the bathroom for that short amount of time, then they shouldn't be putting on Tefillin at all. They should pray without putting on Tefillin. Hopefully later in the day they'll be feeling a little bit better and they'll be able to put on Tefillin for a few minutes later on. Paragraph 24. Once a young boy is able to be taught that all these halachas of the Tefillin, these different rules, and primarily that they're not allowed to pass gas, they have to make sure they have this guf naki, this clean body while wearing Tefillin, then they're really able to start putting on Tefillin from the time they could handle that. However, the custom is that people don't put on Tefillin until close to the bar mitzvah. The most common custom is that boys will start putting on Tefillin a month before the bar mitzvah. Some people have the custom, this is my family's custom, that we don't start putting on Tefillin until the day of the bar mitzvah itself. Interestingly, the day of my bar mitzvah ended up being on Shabbos. And on Shabbos, we don't put on Tefillin. So I didn't really start putting on Tefillin until the day after my bar mitzvah. Paragraph 25. We discussed this back in paragraph 19 a little bit, but we know that during the week we put on Tefillin. On Shabbos, we don't wear Tefillin, and on holidays, we don't wear Tefillin. What about the intermediary days of Sukkot and Passover, of Pesach? Those intermediary days are quasi-weekday, quasi-holiday. So do we wear Tefillin or not? There are a few different customs about this. Some people don't put on Tefillin at all. Others put on Tefillin but don't make blessings. There are still others that have the custom of putting on tefillin and making the blessings. You should follow your family's custom. I think that the most prevalent custom nowadays is to not wear tefillin. So if you don't have a family custom, I'd recommend not wearing tefillin unless you're part of a community that does wear tefillin. It's best that we don't have a minyan that some people are wearing tefillin on those days, some not. So if possible, we should have a minyan of tefillin wearers and a separate minyan of non-tefillin wearers. If it's not possible, then you can't manage it. But if it is possible, that's the best case scenario. Paragraph 26. Once a tefillin has been certified as a kosher pair of tefillin, there's a scribe or a tefillin maker that said these are kosher tefillin, then we assume from now and forever they're kosher tefillin. They don't really have to be checked anymore. There are those that do check them twice every 7 years, because we're going to see by mezuzah, they're supposed to check your mezuzah twice every 7 years. So some people say tefillin also should check twice every 7 years. But certainly, if your tefillin are stored in a damp place or something of that sort, then there's real reason to suspect that the writing on the parchment may have gotten ruined. So then it's important to bring it to a scribe or somebody who knows how to open up tefillin and check them to make sure they still are kosher, valid tefillin. If you don't have somebody who could put them back together, then don't open them up, because once they're open, if they're not put back together properly, they're for sure not kosher tefillin. In that case, just wear them as they are, but don't make a blessing on them until you have an opportunity to get them checked. This concludes today's episode and chapter 10 about tefillin. Have a wonderful day and see you tomorrow.